All right. Welcome back to SoulBack. This is the R&B podcast. Kyle here, back with Tom and Ed. And guys, happy Saturday.
You said that Saturday with the tone of a very sleepy brother.
This is going to be a good episode. Can I give a shout out real quick?
Mm-hmm.
If there's anyone out there listening who's been down with this podcast from the very beginning, and I mean the very beginning when we almost had to kick off Ed and replace him for a couple weeks.
What?
With my boy, Barry Bars, if anyone remembers that name. He joined us very early on.
Yep.
But shout out to Barry Bars. He got married today. It's a glorious day. Happy for
Wow.
our boy.
Yes, my wife actually saw that on Instagram and mentioned, because the one time Tom and I hung out in New York years and years ago, Barry joined us for dinner. What a great time. So shout out to my boy, the original Poison Ivy of the Twitter streets. That's my guy.
Yeah.
And we used to joke. It was a running joke every week. You guys remember that someone's going to get replaced with Barry Bars? That went on for like 2 years.
Yeah, and Barry was on a couple episodes.
Yep. I can
Good
only
dude.
imagine what life would have been like if Barry had stayed on this podcast and how many arguments we would have about Jeremiah and Tory Lanez. That would have been fun.
Oh,
You think we talk a lot about Usher now? Wait until we're arguing Usher versus Tory Lanez.
Oh,
and don't
man.
forget Bryson Tiller. I mean,
Yes.
we haven't mentioned that name enough on this podcast over the years.
Let's keep it that way.
Mhm. So I'll tell you guys why I'm sleepy. I just had a Big Mac and I haven't had McDonald's. I think I've had it like once since the pandemic started. Man, you can't take a break from this stuff. You take a break, you try eating it again, it'll just knock you out.
Yes, you have to build up a McDonald's tolerance, player. Because
Yeah.
I only get I might get a McGriddle a couple times a year or something weird. But I get the McRib whenever it shows up in December. So I get like 2 McDonald's a year. I'm too old. I'm not built for any more than that.
Now,
Wow.
hold on a minute, Kyle,
Hmm.
because we got to put you on the stand here for a second.
Yes.
Listen, man, I just got the vaccine. I'm doing good. I'm on the road to recovery. We are still in a pandemic here, Kyle. You look like you're fresh out the barbershop right now. Where you been?
Oh
How you
yeah.
getting haircuts?
I had to go to the barber. It's open. It's
Oh,
like
jeez.
one of the only things that are still open right now. Looking good. I was looking like a Dragon Ball Z character before this, so my girlfriend told me I had to go get a haircut. So I'm like, okay, I'll go get
No,
I'll go
please
get one.
don't look like the son of Bardock up here. But I can't blame you because I got to get my cuts too. That is the one thing, the gym and the barbershop. That's the only 2 things I'll go to. The rest of the time, I'm sitting here in Soul and Stereo Studios slandering your tweets.
Well,
Well, if you're willing to risk it all with COVID, at least you'll go down with a fresh haircut.
Yes,
That's all I
I'll
gotta say.
leave a good-looking corpse, player.
well, I mean, let's get started with this week's episode. We have a lot to talk about. It's been fun, and I love the comments that we see, both live and after we broadcast it. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Music, YouTube. Just search up SoulBack R&B Podcast, and I'm sure you'll find us there, as well as our social medias at SoulBack Podcast. But Tom, it's that time again. It's time for me to dominate Ed once again with our weekly R&B trivia. And for the people that have just started watching this, Tom, explain your trivia and why it's important.
Why is it important? I don't know, other than making you guys look silly discussing R&B. But listen, this is our 3rd week of doing this. Round 1 was a total failure, I'd say, across the board. We're still trying to name one Portrait song. Shout out to that Portrait diehard fan who hit us up and said we're hating on them. We're not hating on Portrait, guys. We're not. We love Portrait. They're just not, memorable to the average. Am I right, Ed?
Listen, I love Portrait. I went blank at the time, as I tend to do with some of your inane questions. I still think that if anybody listens, I get the hard questions. Kyle gets the softballs. But no, we love Portrait. Stop trying to hate. Sound like a bar trying to hate. Stirring the pot.
Round 2, I think you guys are pretty good.
Yeah.
Now we're on round 3. So what this is I chose 5 different unique categories. I ask each of these guys a question from that category, and we see who can get the most. So this week I'm going to give Ed the easy ones and Kyle the hard ones. And
man.
We'll see about that.
I feel like I always get the hard ones, Tom.
What? I don't think I've given you one hard one yet.
All right.
Not yet. Not at all.
Yeah.
All right. Round one. This is the group members category. Ed's
I
worst
hate
favorite.
the group members category.
Hey,
Ed, I'm going to give Kyle the hard one. All right. Kyle, name all 3 members of Next.
is this me or Ed?
This is Kyle. You're first.
Oh, man. Well, we got to give our guy RL a shout out.
Yep.
We got to give our guy Tweet. Not the female singer Tweet, but the male singer Tweet.
Right.
And we got to give my guy Tilo some love.
Yes, he did it. He did it.
I will admit, I would have missed Tilo, but I would have got the other 2.
You can't miss Tilo.
I'm terrible at the groups.
Don't worry, Ed. You're going to get these 2 members. You got the easy one this time, and that is Coffee Brown.
No.
Oh, man.
That is not easy at all.
Hey, I had to name 3. You only have to name 2.
Exactly.
Well, good luck with that. And again, y'all, some Coffee Brown fan is going to come up here and yell at me like you're dissing Coffee Brown. I love Coffee Brown. I love their single. I know their names are they're like alphabets. It's like L and R or something. It's like something and something, but I don't remember what they are. I'm sorry. I love y'all, but I don't remember your names. It's a lady and a man, and it's something and a something.
Close. It's Falante and Vernell.
No, I thought they had shorter names.
No, that must have been another group.
Because Vernell isn't Vernell V, and then
I guess
Fonz is F. That's how I always heard.
Shout out to my guy KG. We'll have to get him on next time to clarify.
Yeah,
I don't know. Listen, it was a short-lived group. We don't really know, and they haven't been heard since. Anyway, moving on.
They had a great single though.
They had some great songs on the album. Actually,
the album is actually pretty good. So
yeah.
Once again, the black man is set up in America. What is going
on? Come on.
We're gonna make up for it here.
Oh man.
Listen,
we're gonna see.
Whoa. All right. Ed, this is gonna be the easiest question I've ever given anyone on the show, just because. Ed,
okay.
This is the one-hit wonder category. I'm gonna name an artist who the internet is calling a one-hit wonder, not who we are calling a one-hit wonder. I'll name the song, you tell me the artist. She's All I Got is the song title.
She's All I Got?
Ooh, I think I know who that is.
And my head keeps going, she's playing hard to get. So number one, that's throwing me. She's All I Got. Give me a decade.
Oh, 2001.
And we ain't talking about Coffee Brown because they're 2001.
The singing was kind of off key, if I remember correctly.
I know what song this is now.
Kyle, you take this one. I'm blanking on this.
Is that my guy, Jimmy Cozier?
Yes.
Jimmy Cozier. Yes, you're right. Yes. I totally forgot.
When was the last time you heard that name, man?
No, on this podcast. Probably with Barry Bars 5 years ago. Wow. We're gonna get in trouble by everybody. Now we're dissing Jimmy.
I'm not dissing Jimmy. I didn't. Well, I kind of did. I just didn't like the song. All right.
Yeah.
Jeez. Kyle, yours is the song Angel.
There are 8 songs named Angel. Come on now.
Yeah, I was just talking to Woody from Drew Hill, and they have a song called Angel. I know it's not Drew.
It's a one-hit wonder, though.
Ooh, I know who that is. That's Amanda Perez.
Yes, he got it. Now that was a harder one than Jimmy Cozier.
Yeah, that was a harder one. Because I wouldn't have got that one.
All right. Now we're in the name 3 songs by category. Kyle, you got the hard one here.
All right.
Ed, yours is the easy one. If you don't find this easy, Barry Bars is replacing you on the next episode.
Oh man.
First of all, Barry's on his honeymoon. He's got better things to do than your setup trivia.
I don't know. Just kidding. Just kidding. We love you, Barry.
Oh my God. Leave that man alone.
This is the name 3 songs by category. I'm going to name an artist. You name 3 songs by that artist.
Okay.
Shout out to this artist because we got called out for not talking about him enough. Not nearly enough. The artist is Kenny Lattimore. Name 3 songs.
Is this Kyle or me?
You.
Me?
Oh, I don't think Kyle. What?
I mean, this is easy for me. That's why I
said it was easy.
I'm used to getting the setups, so I was surprised. Okay, so we got the wedding standard for you. We got that. We got one of my favorites that no one talks about, Starships, the remake of that. And then, of course, Love Will Find a Way.
Wow.
Kyle, can you verify any of that?
I'm gonna trust Ed's.
No, I'm not surprised there.
All right, Kyle. Yours is Melanie Fiona.
Ooh. So we have 4 a.m. We have It Kills Me.
Mm-hmm.
We have the single, but I'm not even gonna go with that one because that's too easy. We're gonna go with Wrong Side of a Love Song. That's a song, right?
Yep.
That's a sad song, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Good job. I didn't know if you were going to get it, but you got it.
She's Canadian, Tom. Of course I'll get that one.
Oh my.
Very true.
Name
Right,
any
name
Canadian.
any Canadian?
Any Canadian.
No. I can only name like 5 Canadian singers off the top of my head, and I'm pretty sure you know songs by all of them. You could probably even name 3 unreleased Glenn Lewis songs. That's how good you are with the Canadians.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm sure he could.
Yep. Anyway.
All right. Category 4, first single released by. I'm going to name an artist. Tell me the first song they ever released.
Okay.
First single. And this is easy. Vivian Green.
Now, it's easy, but is it a trick question? Because I feel like it should be Emotional Roller Coaster, but you going to tell me it's some weird song from 1994 that nobody remembers?
You got it. You got it. See?
Wow.
And Kyle,
I never know with you, so I have my guard up.
Listen, I told you it was easy. These are all easy. Kyle, yours is Usher.
There's a I got into an argument with someone about this recently because like Wikipedia is not correct apparently.
Uh-oh.
Really?
I might have wrong information here then.
So Ed, you might have to confirm.
Okay.
From what they tell me, Call Me a Mac is the first single that he ever put out.
That's what I had actually.
What does Wikipedia say?
Because on Wikipedia they have it as the Can You Get With It? If I remember correctly.
Call Me a Mac is the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
also, where are you in the streets arguing with people about what song Usher put out first? I mean, where's this
streets?
happening?
I'm sure it's the Twitter streets.
It's
the most incorrect.
Twitter.
Yes,
Oh,
the most incorrect streets on the planet.
Yep. They will correct you at any time, any
yeah.
place. The moment, like, if you even post like the picture and it's slightly blurry, they'll be like, "Why didn't you post a clearer photo?" I'm like,
Listen,
it was what was on Google.
And Ed knows this well. You could put out the most well-written article ever in the history, and if you have one factual piece that's off, they'll call it a piece of garbage, the whole article.
Not even that. You have one comma splice, and this is discredited. I don't care about like, dude. How about you write something? Because the way these tweets look and writing is not your skill. So let us do what we do.
All right, last category for the win.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, I was going to give Kyle the easier one. I'm going to give Ed the easier one though. Ed, this is the year of the debut album. Tell me the year this artist released their debut. Ed, Beyonce.
You said Beyonce, so we're talking solo debut, right?
Solo debut, yes.
Ain't no Destiny's Child tricks going on here. 2003.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Kyle, yours is Brian McKnight.
You had this, Kyle.
1992.
What the heck? How'd you get that?
Yep.
Do you recall I just did like 20 years worth of collages?
Oh, yeah.
That's
true. I didn't know you looked at years, though. Wow. Well done, guys. Actually, you all...
Yes.
I think it was a tie. Oh, no. Ed got the Jimmy Cozier and the Coffee Brown. Jeez. I gave you the easiest ones I could find, and that's how we ended up.
Jimmy Cozier was the easiest one you could find. Jimmy Cozier's mom probably would have struggled with that one.
Oh, come on. What? All right, moving on. We're done.
We're done. Okay, I have a quick R&B trivia here for you, Tom.
For me? Oh,
yes. You keep throwing out trivia. Get this man.
Oh.
Well, this one is like easy, but it might not be. I'm going to throw you a curveball here. I'm going to name the artist. You give me their alter ego.
Black Tie.
Yeah, so that's... Well, Tyrese was there, so yes, Black Tie is...
Oh, my God.
That was right?
That was... Well, I have more.
Oh.
Of course he was going to ask Tyrese.
Okay, next one we
has
have...
an alter ego?
Beyonce.
Beyonce has an alter ego?
Yes, it's a whole
Sasha
freaking
Fierce?
album name after. Yeah.
There you go. All right, next
Oh.
one. Music Soul Child.
Uh-oh.
Will you take the hustle?
I'll take the hustle.
That's not an alter ego. That's an alternate persona.
That's what an alter ego is. What?
Listen, guys. Moving on.
All right,
Next one.
next one. Sierra. You don't know this.
Sierra.
I don't know this.
No
was very-
offense to, no
it was very
offense to
short-lived.
Sierra. I can't even name 3 Sierra songs, so don't expect you to know her alter ego.
So, Ed, do you remember Sierra's album Fantasy Ride, where she's dressed
Yeah.
up like a superhero?
Yeah, she looks like freaking Melina from Mortal Kombat or something.
So her alter ego is Super C.
Super C. That's
Yes.
the best y'all came up with.
Yes,
Super C.
That's
that
you
counts.
should have
Alright.
asked me. You should have asked me the nicknames of the Super Friends. Now that would have been more fun.
That might be Ed's task for next week. Can
Next
you
Yeah,
week.
hit me with that next week.
And then the last one. What is Sammy's alter ego, Tom?
What?
Lee Bush.
There you go.
My,
See, he
my
is an
boy.
What?
That's our
he-
boy.
He's an
Okay,
R&B
I
That's
expert.
would've-
our boy.
I would not have gotten that in a million years.
Wait, did we
Listen.
ever find out why he changed his name to Lee Bush?
He was going through some things, and that's his real name.
Oh, well then.
Yeah, good guy though. We love
yes.
Sam.
Yes. Anyways, let's get
Super
into.
C. Okay. I'm still stuck on Super C. It sounds like
wasn't
some
Super C
some
a
vitamin
Contra
C
game?
you take.
Remember the Contra second game or something was called Super C?
What, Super
Nintendo?
Contra? What's called Super
Yes,
C?
yes.
That's what we're
Yes.
calling it.
Yeah, that game was hard.
Headline
Every
Sierra.
Contra game is hard.
Headline Sierra influenced by Contra. Contra is the hardest game of all time, by the way.
Yo, Contra might
Um,
be able to go. Contra may be able to go back and sue her retroactively, like these artists are doing.
Yeah.
You know, for
Yep.
sampling and all that.
Yep.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Yep.
Where are we going here?
All right.
What is going? Where are we here?
Well, let's.
I've been asking that since 7:00.
All right, let's get into our first topic of the day. Let's talk about her, Grammy Award-winning. At this point, safe to assume one of the faces of R&B. Personally, one of my favorite new artists. Super talented, and it's an interesting case when you look at her. You know, she has all the big awards. Regarded as one of the best of this generation by veterans as well as, you know, people that listen to music today. Loved by the industry. But through all of that, there's a couple of things that are really interesting just about her status in the industry, you know, with the fact that she doesn't even have an album out yet. She's won so many different awards. Ed, can you please talk about this? Because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I'm trying to get rid of my like 90s, 2000s lens and how I look at R&B superstars then versus now. But take me back to like those days. How did we look at superstars then versus now?
I talked about this pretty recently on the Soul and Stereo Cypher on Facebook. You can go join us there. Just look up Soul and Stereo Cypher. And it's funny how it's weird. I just feel like that in 2009, going into 2010, the way the world changed, including the way the world looks at music, just drastically changed. Back in 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, even 2000s, an artist's worth was always their album. So you can have the hottest single, whatever, but is your album, like that is the definitive like representation of you and your music. Do you have a classic album? And that's what we use to measure. All the legends that we love today have multiple classics, or we debate, is this a classic or is that a classic? But we discussed it through albums. But when we got into the 2010s, when, as I've said many times on this podcast, it seems like everything just shifted. Success isn't judged by albums anymore. It's really judged by singles. And sometimes I get that. Sometimes I don't really agree with it, because to me, some singles aren't long lasting. We talk all the time about music that has longevity or timeless. We love to throw around the word timeless. Some of the stuff y'all hyping ain't timeless, trust me, player. But when you look at her, a lot of her success comes from these strong singles that she's been able to cultivate, plus the buzz that she's had in the industry. You just mentioned she's had a ton of success, having a lot of artists and big names co-signing her. between that other issue, and the third thing is that she just sounds a little different than her contemporaries. Now, we know from our generation, we've got tons of artists who have soul and can play instruments, and that's not something that this generation of artists has in abundance. So she seems like an anomaly to them. To us, it's like, well, that's what you're supposed to be able to do. You can sing and play an instrument. That's how you get a job here. But in this space, it's a rarity. So she has those three things going for her. That elevates her to superstardom, even though she ain't got one album to her name. It's very weird.
Tom?
I got 2 points to make, actually. Number one, and this is kind of interesting, you think about her trajectory of success, and we're in a time when most artists who are successful are being outrageous on social media, or are people or fans like them because of their personality. It's really not even about the music. And H.E.R is the total opposite of that. And how interesting is it that we have an artist actually making it when it's really more about the music? Because if you remember, H.E.R was Gabby Wilson, was more known for her talents, then did that whole gimmick with not showing her face to kind of get her self-exposure. And now I really don't even know anything about her as a personality still. I don't really think she's known for being someone that's that interesting compared to maybe some of her peers who were, more of like personalities. So the fact that she broke through, I find interesting. And my second point, though, and this is more of like me as maybe a 90s R&B fan, like she's treated as a generational talent. And I'm not saying she's not talented, and this is not a knock against her, but like, I mean, to me, it's almost like she has no competition. So it's like the award shows latched onto her, and like that's all been elevating her. But it's like, really, who is she even up against? Like, but once she got like how the Grammys are. Once they latch on to something, it's like you're locked in with them forever. Yeah. So it's like there was something about her that these award shows felt they could get behind, and after that, it was game over, and she's a superstar. But it's one of the more unique stories of success, especially in this era. But in the reality, like, to me, artists like H.E.R were a dime a dozen in the 90s. I mean, no offense to her. She has a great talent. But personally, I don't know. I almost feel like people are getting excited because they got nothing else like it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Because when you look at her peers, like, no one really plays an instrument. I mean, there's probably some that do, but no one really is in your face and says, "Hey, I can play the piano, the keys, and the drums, and all that." And then Ed, with like her hit records, she hasn't really had that one like smash it. I think Damage is on its way to being that, but like LMA had Boot Up and Trip, and those songs are a lot bigger than any of H.E.R.'s records. So again, that kind of adds to it, because when we look at superstars, especially from back in the day, it was a combination of industry respect. It was a combination of accolades like awards, even though nowadays we don't really look at those as like us personally, we don't really hold that to the highest esteem. But back in the day, if you won a Grammy, you're the biggest thing ever. She has a fan base, so it's not like has one of those like hipster fan bases that is small and that loves her. Like, she actually has fans, which is pretty cool to see. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious, like, is it possible for another artist to make it in the way that she has? I can't think of how that's possible.
Well, it's funny because when we think of artists who could do that, I was excited to see H.E.R.'s ascent, because even though, I mean, Tom hit the nail on the head with the Grammy thing, where it's like, I call it the Yolanda Adams effect. It doesn't matter in the gospel category. I don't care who comes out with an album. If Yolanda Adams has an album that year, she winning a Grammy by default. And I feel like H.E.R is becoming the R&B version of that. And that is nothing against Yolanda Adams' talent, nothing against H.E.R.'s talent. But when I look at today's artists, I remember thinking Daniel Caesar. I was like, okay, he's going to be the male version of this artist who is very soulful, very different from his peers. And he's going to be able to, he had a lot of momentum at one point, if you remember. He will be able to get in that place where he can be the counterpoint to her, the male artist who doesn't sound mainstream, so to speak, and is able to resonate with an audience. And that kind of happened a little bit. It got derailed for reasons I don't want to get into on this podcast, and I'm arguing for 20 minutes. But I think that there is space for her or more hers, because not only does she appeal to a younger generation, because no, we say, oh, we've got plenty of artists in their 40s and 50s doing the same thing. Well, they aren't going to resonate with the 20-year-olds and the teens that her is automatically going to resonate with. Good music is good music. So sure, we want to have more artists like that. There's a possibility, but we have this weird thing in our music right now. We got to pick one. I hate that we have to pick one. There's like, okay, we've got our one. Everybody else can sound like whatever the sound of the day is, but you got your one. And that's not fair, because there's so many artists out here, from the Lucky Days to the, I mean, I'll be naming all day if I want to go there. Your girl Joyce and so many other younger artists who are great, who need that platform. But it just feels like, all right, you got your her. So everybody else, let's get on the trap train and just try it. It's annoying. It's annoying.
Tom, I'm curious though, and I think you brought this up before, because her manager is Jeff Robinson, who previously managed Alicia Keys and kind of helped out with her explosion, especially back in 2001. And I remember during that time, just as her is attached, like her name is attached to a guitar, I remember Alicia Keys, they like marketed it that her piano and her singing, it all came as one package. Like, kind of take me back to Alicia Keys when she first debuted. And do you think that would work today? Like, I'm just trying to put this all together.
Can you imagine trying to roll out a girl singing on a piano in this day and age? It's not going to work. And I'll be honest though, Kyle, remember Jeff Robinson tried it with Elle Varner with the guitar.
That's
same
true.
thing. It had success, and we love Elle Varner. This is not a knock against her, but I think the industry just changed. Yeah. I just think it was the right time maybe now.
Yeah.
I mean, but you know, my pet peeve, Kyle, is, and the same thing though, I said it was the right time for Alicia Keys back then. They found a niche, they found something that was missing, and they made it work. So credit to Jeff Robinson.
Yeah.
But my pet peeve is like when people say things like, "Oh yeah, R&B is such a great place." And I told you this, especially older people I talk to. "Oh, we got her," and then their voice kind of just trails off. It's like, okay, all right, cool. But like, she shouldn't be a stand-in for the whole genre being in a great place. I actually think we haven't seen the extent of her talent, because you remember back when she was Gabby Wilson singing around the campfire at Tyrese's house or something with the guitar, and they anointed her the next big thing back then. I really think they've kind of held her talent back and told her to tone it down a bit to be more popular, which is fine. It's worked. Yeah. But like, if she ever got unleashed someday and was able to do her thing, I think then watch out.
Yeah, I agree.
Tom, you just reminded me of something. Cal, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
When you talk about artists, and I'm going to give props to someone I don't give props to, so put on, buckle your seatbelt. Listen, I've talked many times on this podcast about Summer Walker. But there was a time when Summer Walker debuted, that she debuted with that guitar, and she sat in her room with her Instagram videos, and she was doing her little Lauryn Hill stuff. And that appealed to an audience in a way that her did. Now, when she blew up, where'd the guitar go? Thrown in the trash. All I hear is London on the Track. I don't hear nothing about a guitar. Because, to your point, we got to dumb it down to make you more mainstream. Tinashe has talked about this a million times. Think of how her material sounded pre-big Tinashe mainstream presentation, as opposed to the stuff that we heard when she had the mixtapes, and we were like, oh, she's about to be big. Presentation totally changed. Same thing happened with Summer. And it's weird that with her, we've got the one that will appeal to younger and old heads. That's why Tom is like, old heads are like, R&B's in a great place because we got it. But nobody else. There could be many hers. There could be many Gabbies if the opportunity was allowed for these artists to be free. One more thing, and I'm going to shut up, but I watched Unsung with my girl Leela James, who I absolutely love. And I love that it was so pure. And she talked about how the many times the industry kept trying to put her in little tiny dresses, had her singing stupid songs, and she kept saying, no, not gonna do it. I'm gonna sing the stuff that's from my soul and that fits my voice. And for the longest time, all her albums kept getting delayed, her stuff kept getting pushed back. But eventually she was able to do her, and that's when she started having the #1 hits on R&B, because she was able to do what she wanted to do, and it was authentic. I just wish that a lot of these artists that right now I'm giving 3-star reviews to, I bet if they were able to be authentic, they might be a little bit better. That's all I'm saying.
Great point, Ed. Well, I'll say this. H.E.R is my favorite new artist. She has an album. She's announced that it's coming soon. It has production from Dallas Austin, Jermaine Dupri, B. Cox, Rodney Jerkins, Sean Garrett, all of the big names. So I have big hopes that this will turn the genre around. I don't know if it will, but I'm glad we have an artist like her on the scene. And hopefully there's more artists like that because we need instrumentation. We need live vocals. And if this is what we're heading towards, then count me in. But can we get into the chicken intermission really quickly?
What a transition. What a transition.
Oh, man.
R&B is such a great place. We got H.E.R. We got chicken. I don't know.
No, we love her. H.E.R is like my... I've met her twice. Super nice. Yeah, shout out to
I love her.
Yeah, when I meet her again, I'll probably call her Gabby again, and it'll throw everyone
and
off.
Almost get kicked off the tour bus again.
Yeah, never do that.
And this is not a diss to anyone. This is more of a commentary of the industry as a whole.
Yeah,
we're just giving our analysis of where we see it.
Yeah, we're old. Forgive us. All right, so I have a question for you guys. I have, when we eat bread, there's various spreads that we use, like peanut butter.
Oh,
and
spreads
and jam. Is that what we call it? We call them spreads, right?
No, when I hear the word spreads, I'm thinking of unsavory type of things, like what you told me about the other day, spam. Which
Ed, do you like spam?
Wait a minute, I missed this conversation because clearly you two haven't had the right spam. Spam can be good.
The right spam.
Okay, no.
Yes.
Well,
you fry some spam up and it is off the chain.
No, okay.
I will not have spam slander.
Wow. Can someone tell me what spam even is?
Oh, I don't know what it is.
It's like hot dog meat or like bologna. They just put random crap in it and it tastes good.
It is. It's kind of like hot dog meat if you make it into like a meatloaf, and that's the grossest thing. Now I don't know if I can eat it anymore. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, why is it boxed into a can? Like you got to peel it open? I mean, how do you?
Yes, you got to peel that. That's why that when the zombie apocalypse happens and we're invaded by aliens, y'all gonna eat spam because it's the only thing that's gonna be sealed shut.
Yeah.
Spam back on track. Okay, let's get back on track.
Well, the spam wasn't the discussion, but I was gonna
ask. I don't know how we got on this.
So what I'm gonna name a couple of. So if we're not calling it spreads, what are we calling it, Tom? Like, what do you call
peanut butter?
Is it sauce?
No, I don't call it.
What is it?
No, definitely not a sauce.
No, it's not a sauce.
A butter? I don't know.
No, it's spread is okay. I don't know why we're anti-spread. I'm not talking
but spread. Like when I think of spread, like I think of a condiment bar. Like you could put it on a bagel or something. You could spread it on like butter, cream cheese. You know,
that's why the cream cheese packets, the Philadelphia that you tear open with your teeth.
Lox, those things. You spread it on your bagel.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, peanut butter and jelly is the same thing.
Yeah, you put peanut butter on a bagel. It's possible.
I guess. I don't see it at the bagel bar, though. I mean, I don't know where you're getting your bagels from. But...
Well, focus, Tom. Okay. I'm gonna name a couple of spreads here. We're gonna call them spreads, and you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay. You don't have to say anything, but if you want, you can. Peanut butter.
That's an easy thumbs up.
Yeah, that's it. You can't go wrong.
Jam.
What flavor jam?
I think strawberry is the normal one. Right?
Oh no.
I'm iffy. I got to go halfway on that. Like I like some and I don't like others.
What jelly are you liking, Tom? Grape
jelly. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you play as a heathens. Where's the apple jelly?
Apple jelly? What the heck is that?
You've never had
a jelly?
What is wrong with you people?
Ed, they don't even sell that here.
Ed, are you throwing applesauce on your sandwich?
Oh my God, no! It's something totally
You mean
different.
applesauce? You mean applesauce?
Apple jelly, not.
Oh, okay.
Apple grape is fine.
Jam? What?
Yes, you've never had that. What is?
Tom, go take a look at your kids' food. It might be apple jam.
I know. Is that served in a baby Gerber jar? I mean, maybe I'll look for it in the baby aisle.
All right.
Why am I on this?
All right. Let's continue here. Peanut butter and jelly.
No.
No?
No.
No. It is,
Oh, that's a definite yes.
no, that's the most basic sandwich ever. It's the Cardi B of sandwiches. I don't
Well,
know.
can I have wheat bread? Is that all right?
Yeah, you can have whatever
Alright.
bread you want.
It's your world, Tom. You can have wheat bread and spam all you want.
Oh,
All right. Butter.
That's a thumbs up. Yes.
can
that's
I
a
go
thumbs
with
up.
margarine? Like the
Mar-
more healthier alternative? It's like
Margarine tastes like plastic, Tom.
I mean, butter is just, what is butter? Like fat? I mean, what actually is it?
Yes,
It's good.
it's like it's look, play. It's good. That's all you need.
It's goodness.
I'm not mad at margarine though, because we do have the.
There you go. See?
I can't believe
This guy
it's
was
not
hating.
butter. Weird stuff.
Exactly.
So I've got 2 more for you guys here. Cream cheese.
Oh, that's
Thumbs
a no.
up easily.
That's a no?
That's a way down.
Why is that a
What?
no?
Well, of course, Tom thinks it's a no. The man doesn't eat butter.
That's true.
I don't know. I like cheese, but like, I can't imagine eating a creamy version of cheese. I don't know.
What
All
do
right.
you put on your bagels?
A
Nothing.
little, yeah, pretty. I actually eat my bagels plain, not even toasted, just like as is.
This man is not human. Who eats
Listen.
a plain bagel? Your
Listen,
mouth,
you
the
gotta-
roof of your mouth is toe all up.
When you come back to New York City, you got to get I'll bring you to the bagel store. They come hot out the oven, crispy on the
Mhm.
outside, soft on the inside. Oh man, you'll never go back.
Oh, man.
You'll live here.
Yes, and I'm gonna put some cream cheese on that sucker.
Oh,
Ed, what you need to realize is Tom doesn't eat for leisure. He eats it like it's a chore.
Yes,
now
he eats like
that's
a.
factual.
You know how when you get a goldfish and you just sprinkle that little flake crap in there? That's what Tom eats. Just flavorless flakes.
Kyle, that is the most factual statement you've ever made on this podcast.
Wow. All right. I've lied. I have 2 more here, and then we can keep it moving.
Keep it going, because
This is this is a controversial one. All right.
Okay.
Cheese whiz.
Oh my God. Oh. What?
All
No.
orange.
I would rather have
No.
orange paint on my food. Can I just
Wow.
get regular cheese?
Cheese whiz. Oh man.
Yeah.
It comes in the same can as whipped cream, and y'all don't realize that's a problem. That should not work.
All right.
Yeah.
And last one is Nutella.
No.
Ed, you like chocolate on your bread?
Well, I will say I've only had Nutella like once, because I had this friend that was obsessed with Nutella, and I had it, and I can't remember if I liked it or not. So I've only had it one time. I can't judge.
All right.
That's a no from me. You know why? Because it looks like chocolate, like it should taste like chocolate, but it's actually hazelnut, which is no. That's
Oh man.
I
not
like
gonna work.
hazelnut. I might like that.
Eh.
All right. Tom, you seem like the type of guy, because I was at work once and my coworker brought an apple and he brought like a jar of peanut butter and he started spreading that peanut butter on his apple. That seems like something you would do.
Wait, on
That's
the
Oh, well, he sliced
was
his
the apple sliced?
It was
No.
sliced. It was sliced. Yes.
I was like, what kind of weirdo do you work with? He has a whole apple and just like slathers the top of it.
I would do that. Yeah. Of
All
course.
right. There you go.
That's
I
healthy.
wouldn't mind that. Yeah.
All right. That was fun.
That was
The
something.
chicken intermission. We talk about spreads.
We always love it. Let's continue our conversation on superstars here. We just had a great discussion about her. And really, that was more of like a critical thinking exercise for all of us, because we're trying to fit our mind frame into what's going on today. And it's challenging for a lot of us. But I want to take it back to the 2000s. We did a great interview with Bobby V a couple of weeks ago, and he exposed something that I thought was great at the time as a consumer, but as an artist, I can understand why it would be detrimental. But Bobby V pretty much just said that in the 2000s, labels were making these artists work with the hottest producers at the time. So that's why every album in the mid 2000s had a record from B. Cox, had a record from Timbaland, the Neptunes, Rodney Jerkins, etc. So around that time period, every album sounded very similar. As a fan of those producers, you love that era because you got it on every album. But if you're a fan of artists sticking with one producer and one sound and seeing where that producer takes that artist, you might not be as much of a fan. And Tom, the example that Bobby V gave was A. Marie. What was your reaction when you first heard "Touch" by Amory, the Little John song?
See, that didn't bother me as much because she came out with one thing from that album first. So to me, it was almost like she was kind of just working with different producers and like advancing her sound. I didn't like the song, but I wasn't mad at it. You know, like I didn't feel like it was too forced. I mean, Ed, you guys might disagree. I don't
know. I don't like the song that much, but it didn't bother me, sort of what you were saying, Tom, because unlike what we see a lot of times today, where we see artists completely changing their sound and like fitting that round peg into the square hole, it still sounded like an Amory song. So it wasn't like she was sounding like Petey Pablo. Like she did her best
Petey Pablo
to sound like herself. So I was like, when I listen to that album over there, I skip it most of the time, but I don't hate it. And I do understand why they had that, because he was what was hot in the streets and you had to have a Lil Jon song, and didn't quite work, but I wasn't offended.
Well, I'm just thinking, Tom, let's say, and I don't want to just use Amory as an example because you can think of a million examples. And this is what Bobby V alluded to, is you have a record with this big producer and it works, then you're forced to continue in that lane and continue to make hit records. That's tough.
Well, here's the thing. I can't remember which interview it was we did. It might have been, I feel like it was either Eric Roberson or Jazzy Jeff, one of these artists who have kind of shunned major labels. They pretty much said labels will come to an artist. They hear their demo tape. They say, listen, we love everything about you. We want to sign you. They sign you. And then they say, all right, let's change everything about you. And it just doesn't make any sense. And you kind of understand because it's the music industry and a business, and they try to fit that artist into the popular trends. But in reality, how does that make sense? How could that work?
It doesn't, because and we see it on such a larger scale today, because especially now that hip hop is like the main genre and it is so industry driven, as much as, listen, social media will make you think that all this music is just being produced by all these wonderful people from Instagram. No, they're all industry plants, but I'll argue about that another time. But the point is, there are so many hands in this, and they aren't looking at this from a cultural standpoint. They're looking at it from a mathematical, statistical standpoint. And statistically, if sound A is what works, all our artists are going to make sound A, because when they hear you doing something completely different, they see the buzz you're getting. They see that you're talented, but in the back of their mind, they're like, how can we get an artist to sound like sound A? We need a Cardi B. We need a Future. We need I was going to say a H.E.R, but she's an outlier. But we need someone to fit a certain format. So even though you don't sort of sound like that, there's enough elements in there to make you be forced into that. That's what happens. And that's what happens when the industry is just so overwhelming. And I think that's why we've had such trouble in the past 10 years. We have an industry that's had its hands in our music more than ever before. So it's controlling it, and then everybody else is trying to catch up. So it's like one mindless monotone sound to rule them all.
Tom, I'll tell you what's crazy. I'm going to name a couple of facts here that I've researched heavily. Just kidding. I was just on YouTube and came across these.
Oh boy.
So it's funny that a lot of these artists and their biggest hits, they actually hate those songs because those were songs that the label forced on them. You wouldn't even believe some of these records. Like Usher hates the record,
Yes, I've heard this. And I agree with him. I hate it too.
Okay, well. And then Tom, remember Sherry Dennis from Bad Boy?
Yeah.
She hates like that whole album because they wanted her to be like Faith Evans.
Interesting. That album isn't even bad. I like some songs on there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe because you like Faith Evans and that sound resonated.
So it's interesting. If you followed her trajectory after the album, she went in a totally different direction. So it makes sense.
So it's just interesting, right? Like, and you never want to hear that as a fan, that artist hated your favorite songs, but it's the reality.
I got one. The Brian McKnight song with Puff Daddy and Mace. Which actually is kind of a banger if you put it on, in a party or whatever, or in a club. But he hates that song. But he said that door opened up the opportunity for any time to come out. So it needed to happen.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So,
and I will add this. I don't know if you were on the podcast, Kyle, for this one, but Tom and I interviewed Vivian Green, who Tom mentioned early on this episode. She had a lot of issues with her debut album, which I love.
Yep.
Yeah.
But she was like, this isn't the sound for me. So it is funny as a fan when you're like, oh man, I love this album. And then the artist you love, like, oh, that album, man. She didn't say she hated it, but she had issues because she felt like it wasn't her. She was doing what she was told. And it's weird to kind of compensate that as a fan. And then you listen to the albums later on, you're like, okay, that's why we saw that gigantic shift in sound, because they were doing what they wanted to do.
Right. Well, I mean, Tom, to the label's defense, like you said, they're trying to make it work, because if that album, and I look at Trey's first album as an example, super soulful album, great album. And I would say that was probably, and Troy Taylor might have to correct me, but I would say that was more in the direction of what Trey and Troy Taylor wanted to do versus the label, because that didn't sound like contemporary R&B at that time. That just sounded like traditional R&B. It didn't work. And at that point, whose fault is it? Is it Trey and Troy's fault, or is it the label's fault?
Yeah. I mean, the label is the one making the investment. They're putting up the money to promote the thing and create the thing. So they're the ones who are going to take the loss. It's not the artist who's going to take the loss. So they've got to do what they've got to do to make it work and make them money. So it's a business. You really can't get mad at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to say the label has a social responsibility to put out the best music possible. But at the end of the day, they've got to make money to stay in business. So what are you going to say?
Exactly. It's business. Like, you as a business person, you're going to take the least amount of risk to maximize your dollars. And if what is popping in the streets is this sound over here, you're going to sound like this sound over here. Now, once you become an established star, okay, maybe you can play around with it. Maybe you can do something new. But especially out of the gate, oh no, you've got to just fall in line.
Yeah. So that's why I have so much respect for trendsetters like Mary J. Blige and Jodeci, because they did it their way. They did it early on, and that's why they're icons, because they did it their way. So there's not many like that, though.
Well, shout out to Andre Harrell as well, who had a big part in that, in introducing that sound. I mean, we got to get there. There are some real innovators in the music industry who do push the envelope and weren't afraid to take risks.
Yeah.
And you got to give them credit.
Tom beat me to it. I mean, Andre Harrell. We talk about Pharrell. We talk about Timbaland. There's so many so many producers out there who were able to innovate and to push something forward and to continually evolve. Even sometimes when fans are like, I don't like this, I want to hear the original thing. And the producers and the artists like, hold on, ride with me. We're going to do something different. It's going to work. We've seen it with Mary. We've seen it with many, many other artists. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. But I'm always on the path of innovation. I don't ever want someone to sound like the next person.
Well, Kyle, can you imagine I don't know who was responsible, but who took the risk at the label to put out songs like Pony, which sounded absolutely like nothing. It sounded like it was coming from space. I think we just talked about this. Yeah. Or the Neptunes, or that Noriega song, Super Thug. Right. Like, these songs were so out of left field that was actually a big risk at the time. Yeah. We look back and think it worked.
Yep.
But like, someone was putting their reputation on the line to put those songs out, and that had a big difference. That's kind of what helped Timbaland and the Neptunes even come into the mainstream. Like, if someone wasn't willing to take a chance on songs like that, history may have been totally different.
Tom, you know what's crazy is that when I spoke to Genuine, he told me that when he presented that whole album to Sony, the only song they liked on that album was Pony. Crazy, right?
Wow, that's a piece of history right there. I didn't realize that.
That was the only song they liked.
And again, what we're seeing today is the kind of the downfall of hip hop being the mainstream kind of sound, because no one wants to take a chance. It's like, okay, this is the sound. Don't stray from it. It's the cash cow. It's the golden goose. Everybody got to sound like this. So we're hearing it in country. We're hearing it in R&B. We're hearing it in pop. It's but because it keeps making money, it's going to keep going until it doesn't make money. So it's harder than ever for artists to be independent, because they have more pressure than ever than to keep making that money. So it's tough.
Yeah. Tough times for these artists, but hey, we get some great music out of it, so I'm not going to complain. Let's talk about, before we get into my favorite thing the saddest songs of all time. You guys know I
Oh
love
boy.
that theme. But let's get into our R&B picks for this week. Songs
Yes.
new or old that you really like and you just want to give a quick shout out to. Ed, what's your R&B pick of the week?
I have taken some time to check out some albums in the past week and catch up on some older albums. Kelly Price's new EP came out. It's not bad. Check that out. One album I really liked, it really took me by surprise. I didn't get a chance to review, but I'm glad I can give it some props here, is Ruff Endz' new album. I thought this album was quite the surprise. And their song, All of My Love, one of my favorites. They've got 3 or 4 on there that I think are pretty good. If you're a fan of especially the 90s, 2000s sound, I think the early 2000s sound, so to speak, I think you'll find a lot to enjoy there. So check out Ruff Endz' new album. And All My Love is my pick of the week. It's pretty fun.
Nice. Tom?
Ed, you stole both of mine. Hold on. Now I'm scrambling.
Oh, my gosh.
Well,
all right. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Kyle. You want to go ahead?
Yeah. I'm going to give a shout out to Pleasure P, who allegedly released a double album last week. I haven't posted it on the site because he hasn't said anything about it. And I'm not trying to get sued for posting illegal music. But from what I heard, one side is like trap and hip hoppy and mumble rappy. I think Bobby V's on a song too, which was weird. But the other half is like more R&B. Rico Love has a record on there. There's like 2 Pretty Ricky songs on there. I haven't had a chance to listen to that whole album in completion yet, but from what I hear, it's pretty good. I just hope that he acknowledges it, or I can't give it a shout out anymore.
Yeah, it's very weird that there's like no conversation about it. I don't know about the trap version. I have not heard any of that. But the version I heard, I thought was pretty solid. And that one does feature a couple Pretty Ricky songs.
Can I shout out? We mentioned him earlier in this episode, our boy Brian McKnight, who has a remix project out. Now, Brian McKnight said he's retired. Well, this is remixes of old songs done by producer Terry Hunter. These are dance remixes, guys. Can you imagine dance versions of Brian McKnight hits?
He's going to Deborah Cox route. Okay, I feel you.
So that just came out on Friday. Check that one out along with the ones you guys mentioned. Now I was going to shout out, our girl Kelly Price and our guys Ruff Endz. Those came out as well in this Mystery Pleasure P album. Check all those out.
Yeah, I'm going to have to text Pleasure and find out what's going on because that is almost as weird. Do you remember when H.E.R put out their album and no one knew what was going on?
Yes, I remember that.
That was a different situation now.
That wasn't H.E.R, right?
No, no, I think they just put it out and like they either didn't tell anyone or just like made one post about it and just no one knew. It was like a tree fell in the woods and no one was around to hear it almost.
Wait, so that was H.E.R.
It was Ed.
As far as I know, that was H.E.R. They were ostracized.
I'm so confused.
Yes.
All right. Well, I assigned you guys with a task for this week because
we're not leaving out the love letters, are we?
Nope. We're gonna get into that.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure I got a good one.
Don't you worry, Tom. We're just gonna get into this first. Over the last few weeks, I've been naming songs that I have called the saddest song of all time, or top 3 saddest songs of all time. So between the 3 of us, I want each of us to name 3 songs each to complete our top 10 saddest songs of all time. Number 1 on that list is obviously the Boyz II Men record, Doing Just Fine. So we don't need to mention that song. But between the 3 of us, let's complete that top 10 saddest songs of all time list. I'll start off first.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Blue Cantrell record, I'll Find a Way, because my goodness, is that song sad.
What?
Yes.
We're naming deep album cuts that no one knows now?
That was a single.
That was on the radio. I have told this story before that during 9/11, they were playing that song all over the place, and that made it even sad.
Jeez. Wow. Yeah. All right. Am I up?
Yep.
I'm going with, I was scanning my songs to try to make some picks. Like I couldn't go with something like Tony Braxton, Unbreak My Heart. It just feels sappy. It doesn't feel.
Yeah.
I want something that feel like, when they were singing that song, it was cutting them deep.
Yeah.
So one of my picks is RL and Deborah Cox, We Can't Be Friends.
Yes.
I mean, a song like that is just painful to even listen to and think about. So I can't listen to that song, guys. Too sad.
Ed?
Okay, I'll go with this one, but I will say that a lot of my picks are sad because of the videos. I think back when videos were such a component, it helped add to the narrative of the song. So when I hear this song, I think of this miserable, depressing video. My boy Aaron Hall, I miss you. Oh my gosh, the most depressing video
on the
planet.
Oh man,
that's a great pick.
That is.
Yes.
That's too sad to listen to.
It is awful. Still my song though.
Yes. My next super sad song, I'm gonna go with Mary J. Blige, "Not Gonna Cry." That's a sad song, right?
Haven't heard that one in a while.
That is sad, but it's one of those songs where it's like I'm pretending not to be sad, and that makes it sadder.
Yes.
Oh man. Can I go with Anthony Hamilton? And this is a double song. Charlene and Charlene and Can't Let Go. Like,
oh no,
that's just like a broken man struggling to move on in life, and he just can't find the way. How more sad does it get than that?
It's true.
Oh my gosh. I would talk about this later, but I actually ranked my boy Anthony's discography.
Yeah.
You talk about some sad songs. And I was gonna mention one today, Kyle. I don't know if we can mention an artist twice.
Yes.
Because I was gonna mention Anthony Hamilton's "I'm a Mess." That song is misery on wax. I have never heard it. He sounds like he's crying through the song.
He was going through some things, Ed, on those first few albums.
Oh, he was going through it is not a strong enough term. He was having issues.
Yes.
Beard was all patchy. He was so sad the hairs would not grow right on his face.
Oh man. Oh man. See, I was thinking about this as I was going through my playlist today. I want to go with the Tony Braxton record. This is an album cut. How Could an Angel Break My Heart? With Kenny G, but his saxophone playing just sounds so good. Like it brings you in a good mood. Like there's no way you can be sad. Yeah, like when you hear Kenny G, you gotta. So I can't choose that one.
Wow.
I'm gonna go with. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm trying to figure it out here. Like the first one.
Don't pick my song, Kyle. I feel like you're about to pick it.
No, I don't think I will.
Okay.
I'm going to just go with the record I Remember by Keisha Cole, just to show the 2000s some love, because that is a sad song too.
That is actually a sad song.
Yes.
It's a sad song, but I don't know. That one, it's sad, but I love it too much. It's kind of like, it's sad, but I want to give it a hug.
Oh, man. Tom?
We can't mention this category without mentioning this guy. I'm not going to name one of his songs, but Mario Winans. I mean, that guy was just going through pain nonstop on his albums, but I'm not going to name his song. Can I name two?
Yes.
As long as you don't steal mine.
I'm going to go with 112-Year Letter. We got to name that
one. Oh, that's a good one.
That song makes you feel miserable.
Do you realize what happened in that song? They thought the letter was about them, and then at the end they realized it was about someone else.
Yes.
It doesn't get much worse than that. I mean, talk about like going from being happy to like dying in one moment.
Wait, from a 2020 standpoint, is that equivalent, Ed, to like me sending you a text professing my love to you and then saying, oops, wrong conversation?
That's exactly what it is.
That's
you got
rough.
the wrong text. That's exactly what it is.
That's rough. What's the second song?
There was another sad song in the album, Funny Feelings, which was not one of the saddest songs ever, but that's another one I just can't.
Yes.
It's like if you've been through those situations, you know.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that. I was going to shout out my boy Music Soul Child. This is not one of the saddest songs ever, but Half Crazy. Like that's a song where he was going through it. And like in another situation, if you've been through it, I remember the video. He was like sitting on the floor next to the toilet.
Yep.
You know, it's sad.
That's one of those ones that the video makes it worse.
Yeah.
Yes. Ed?
I can't believe I thought about doing our boy Mario Winans, but we pick on that song enough. Can't believe nobody mentioned this song. Maybe you guys are too young. I know you are, Kyle, but this is one of those songs they wore out in 1996. The Tony Rich Project. Nobody knows it but me.
Yes.
Oh, my misery. Yes. Misery. That song is pure misery.
Yep.
And And that completes our top 15 saddest R&B songs. I only wanted 10.
I gotta go, guys. I can't. I gotta go.
I have a question. I have a question before we get into the love letters here.
Yes.
Especially for the two of you guys, because you guys are married.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in your life, and this is probably only to Ed because Tom has retired from sad songs. Why do you still listen? Why do you still listen to sad songs when you're happily married?
Because I am such a robot when it comes to listening to music, because I have this reviewer brain that I don't get emotion from most songs. I'm serious. Like the only emotion I get from songs are like from nostalgia. So I'll hear a song and I'm like, oh, I remember blah, 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 blah. But most of the time when I hear a sad song, I'm like, sad song. I'm like registering my brain. How was the production? How was the vocal pitch? I'm not even thinking about the emotional point at some points of those songs. So I'll hear the sadness, but it doesn't affect me because I have ice water in my veins clearly.
Tom. Ed is listening to the most heartfelt ballad ever and just sitting there like, solid track.
Yes.
Solid track.
3.5 stars.
Wait, you're even doing that when you listen to the Tony Thompson record, Goodbye Eyes?
Oh, that's nostalgia. That's different. That I'll be like, oh my gosh. That's different.
That'll have Ed thinking about his 5th grade girlfriend.
Please, turn this man's mic off.
Can we get her name, Ed?
No.
All right.
Probably listening.
All right. So she might be in the love letters. We'll see, Tom. So what is the love letters?
Might be.
What is the love letters for this week, Tom?
All right. I'm going to make it even more fun this time around, Ed.
Okay.
So Love Letters is a feature that Ed has on Soul and Stereo. Some of his biggest, supporters write in with their problems. I still got a kick out of some of these problems that come with it. I mean,
a kick is a way to describe them. Oh,
I'm not going to go into it. Ed always dishes out some great advice. I appreciate reading it. But what we do in this segment is I picked out a song and Ed gives me advice. Well, Ed gives advice to that singer in that song, like they were talking to him in the song. So what I'm going to do this time, instead of naming the song, I'm going to read the lyrics.
Okay.
If I can. All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I've been doing is all bad. I got a chick on the side with a crib and a ride. I've been telling you so many lies. Ain't nothing good. It's all bad. I just want to confess because it's been going on so long.
Well, Mr. Raymond, I am glad that you are admitting that you've been all bad, but either you're gonna have to show and prove and not talk about it. I was listening to Bad Habits the other day. I went, in fact, to go get my hair cut, Tom. I was listening to it in the car. And I'm like, this dude spends the whole time talking about what bad habits he has. He doesn't say anything about how he's going to stop these bad habits. He just tells us about the bad habits. So this brother, I actually like this confessions better than the other confessions. Sorry, y'all going to flame me for that, but I like it better. So it's wonderful that you can share all of your confessions with the world and tell everybody that it's all bad. But if you are still doing bad tomorrow, you get no brownie points, player. And if I listen to the rest of that album, you still doing all bad. You down bad in these streets.
Wait, what did this line mean? I got a chick on the side with a crib and a ride. Like he lived with her separately and had a car with her or something. Like
I thought that he bought her house and car.
Well, something was happening every time he was in LA with his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, yes.
Something was happening.
My God. Every time. So, yes, he's got a whole family on the side. So he's confessing, I'm doing bad. But he didn't say, I kicked her out the house. She's still over there living in the crib and the ride.
Wow. Well,
can you even work it out at that point? I mean, who are people willing to work through this?
Maybe. It might be possible. But then you shouldn't be creating a part 2 of the confession.
Right. If you're creating part 2, then what's happening? That's my point.
Then you're done.
He talks all the time about how he's trash, but the trash is never taken out of the house. The house just stinks.
Oh.
And what is it? 15 years later, bad habits. He still has the bad habits.
He still got bad habits. He loves love. He just bad at it. Come on, dude.
You gotta respect the guy that's honest. That's all I'll say.
I mean, you're honest, but you're still whack. Like,
oh, jeez. At this
point, let's move beyond the whackness. That's what I'm trying to say.
Being honest, got to count for something, right, Kyle?
Oh, yes.
No, you get a half a point for that.
That's another great
The
Usher
star
line.
system.
It's got to count for something.
All right. I think that's it for this week. That was fun.
What an episode.
I liked it.
Ed, what's going on with soulandstereo.com?
Well, you can check out Soul and Stereo for more love letters, foolishness, as always. But as I mentioned earlier in the week, I ranked my boy Anthony Hamilton's discography. I feel like going back and revisit it, he has one of the more underrated discographies because it was 4 stars and just flying everywhere. So great albums, lots of consistency. And again, that rasp that just emanates passion and pain and sorrow and old school churchiness. I just love it. So check out that best Anthony Hamilton albums. I have a new ranking probably coming up this week. Also, and I'm exhausted about talking about this, and I'll keep it short, but anybody listening to this has heard the annoying conversations, the endless conversations about your boy Lil Nas X and his little devil shoes. So being the journalist that I am, I was a little frustrated that we weren't seeing any nuanced conversation. It was all either you're a homophobe or you're just like a Satanist. And I'm like, let's have some conversation about what's good and what's bad about what's going on. So go to Soul and Stereo to check out my thoughts on the whole mess and get kind of good sides about what's going on, what's not going on, what should be going on. And then everybody, let's calm down. Lord, it's Easter tomorrow. Chill out.
Wow. Ed, you're cut from a different cloth. Tom, in 2020, 2021 on Twitter, and I know you're back on social media, people just love to argue.
It's like they got nothing else better to do with their time.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
What?
And it's annoying. I mean, like, we can have conversations, we can agree and we can disagree, but all of this arguing and accusations and then trolling, and I'm too grown. I guess I have bills to pay. If you got a 401k, you should not be trolling. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, man. Tom, what's going on with I Got So? I know you interviewed a couple of people last week.
Yeah, well, while Ed was arguing with people who had no 401k, I was doing some interviews, including our friends Kindred the Family Soul to talk about the new album, Auntie and Nunk. Whoever missed that on Instagram Live, I just published it on the site. It's on our YouTube right now. I also interviewed the Shindellas. That's a group of Lewis York, our friends Claude Kelly and Chuck Harmony.
Yep.
They're working towards their debut project. Our boy Dollar, who we're hoping to get on the podcast, came through for that. He's a big supporter. He sat into the interview. That was fun. So that one will be out on the site soon if you missed it on Instagram Live. Other than that, we had these couple projects, but it's been pretty slow, I'd say, overall in R&B. I'm just wondering, like, due to COVID, are people, even getting back together and working with other artists yet? Like, still kind of like playing it safe. So I wonder if we're even going to get a lot of new music in the near future. We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tom. I was just talking about that. Someone was saying, oh, man, it's April and we haven't had very many albums. I think what happened last year is that the albums we were getting were recorded pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So now we're stuck in this dead spot where people couldn't get together and record. So it's going to be kind of dry for a while, but that's why I've been doing album rankings and doing some nostalgia stuff. You guys always have come through with the interviews, so we'll keep it popping until the albums start popping back up.
Yeah, I think Queen Naija is releasing a deluxe version of her album soon, and then Red California is opening up their venues again for concerts. I think with a max capacity of 200 people. So I think things are starting to slowly but surely.
Imagine Chris Brown performing in the arena with 200 people. That'll be exciting.
Well, I hope it be some space in them seats where you see Southern Chris throwing his sweat all over you.
Stokely's on the way too. That album should be out this month.
Oh, I'm excited for that one. I actually had a chance to hear some of it when I was on his virtual listening party on Zoom. I think that was about a month ago. It sounded good. So
good.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for that. I also interviewed Woody from Drew Hill yesterday. Really insightful and great interview. Really good guy. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just leave you guys with this. Tom and Ed. He said that his 9 to 5 is more fulfilling than his time with Drew Hill. I don't know anyone that thinks their 9 to 5 is fulfilling, but hey, there's one person right there.
Listen, player, when you don't have to deal with industry nonsense and you don't have to deal with these idiots on Twitter throwing you shade because they don't like your song or whatever, if you can just go in, clock in, have your boss say, Woody, you did a great job stocking the shelves or whatever in the world he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He can just go home and be
Stocking the
fulfilled.
shelves.
I bet you he got a 401k, so he don't have time to argue with y'all on Twitter. Shout out
He's
to
probably
my boy.
he's probably getting publishing checks. He's probably just living good.
No.
Has a
Right.
little job that's comfortable. Like, I wish artists would be like him and be honest, as opposed to just riding it out and pretending like they still love the music and just for the money. Like, I don't like that. But
No, just
that's
keep it
another
real.
topic for another day.
Yeah. We might have to get Woody on this because he's super entertaining, but maybe next time.
Nice.
I think that's it for this week, guys. I appreciate everyone for tuning in.
Oh, Kyle, before we go,
Yes.
before I go, I gotta shout out my boy DMX before we go. I don't know when this airs, but as of this recording, he's having a very rough time. Before we got on the podcast, we heard that he's off the ventilator. He's still in critical condition. He's breathing on his own, but still got a lot going on. To me, one of my favorite artists of all time. And this just goes to show what we talk about all the time on the podcast. Let's show love to our veterans. Let's not wait until they're gone to show love, because all these little guys y'all love today would not be here for the foundation that was laid. And whether it's hip hop, whether it's R&B, because he did R&B as well, or some gospel as well. Earl Simmons, my boy, really laid the groundwork from 98 going forward. At one point, 98, 99, he could make the claim to be the best rapper on the planet. So shout out to my boy. Prayers going up. And let's continue to support our legends.
Ed, I'm glad you mentioned that, because today was the day. Ironically, I took my son to what Google Maps calls a place of worship. It's the Big Pun mural in the BX,
I saw that.
Bronx.
Yes.
I took Mav to see it. I had to pay my respects. So it's a good day for hip hop, and I'm glad to hear DMX is pulling through.
Yeah.
Yes. The mural was incredible. I saw that.
Shout outs to DMX. Hope you're doing better. Hope it's a speedy recovery. But guys, I think that's it for this week. So again, guys, follow us on social media at SoulBack Podcasts. Search us up on Spotify, Google Music, iTunes, whatever your favorite streaming platform is. We'll be there. I don't think we're on Tidal though. I got to figure that one out. But other than that, we'll be back next week with another great conversation. So we'll talk next week.
All right.
All right.